the plot is continuing to thicken here as Joseph continues to kind of troll his brothers in a way. They don't know it's him. He's still giving them a hard time. Now he's wanting to keep Benjamin, and Judah's like, I can't, man. I vowed for his safety. I can't. But we're going to get the resolution to all this here in chapter 45 next week. But guys, Josh, what was the first thoughts coming to your mind from this chapter?
I just couldn't imagine, when the brothers are leaving, they think everything's gone fine. They're like, okay, sweet. Everything's cool. Dad's going to be fine. Benjamin's coming back. We're good. We can show him that nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, somebody stole a cup. Oh, great. Here we go. Who the heck did it? And then it's Benjamin. It's like, oh, geez, oh, whiz. Like, I just can't imagine what the brothers felt in their heart, especially Reuben, I think. Yeah. Like in that moment, that would have been.
Yeah, I can imagine they're saying it's because of what we did to Joseph.
Right.
That's true.
Simeon just got let out after a year, and then he's like, oh, we got to go back to this man. And because it was found in Benjamin's cup. Like, can you imagine their initial reaction on the road whenever this happened? And like, I just imagine Simeon kicked his donkey or something. Like, this was, he's like, I just got out of jail. Like, now I got to go back. Look what you're doing to me. And now they're probably, giving Benjamin weird looks. And yeah,
Benjamin's like, I didn't do it. I promise.
Right.
Sure you didn't.
Yeah, this is very interesting dynamic if this were a TV show or a movie.
Something that alarmed me or stood out was this, the cup was called a cup of divination.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I had to look into that and look it up a little bit, right?
This comes up when we go through the Torah portion, right? You're like, what is that? What'd you find?
Well, the word nakash, translated there as divination, can also mean to learn by experience or diligently observe, right?
That's
to kind of like rightly divide, to understand,
to deduce, right?
Yeah. And so whereas we hear divination, we automatically think a practice of occult,
right.
that they're trying to use astrology or something to determine the future, but that might not be what's going on here, especially since Joseph is known as a righteous man, a follower of Yahweh. He's probably not practicing occult practices there like we would think. But that verse, or that same word, is also used in Genesis 30:27, when Laban said, Laban said, if now it pleases you, stay with me. I've divined that the Lord has blessed me on your account. So the same word nakash is used there as divine, just to mean I've understood, I've deduced. Yeah.
Yep. I figured it out, right? I pondered it, and I pondered and figured it out, deduced, concluded. That's why I would say in verse 15 of the same chapter, Joseph says, do you not know that a man like me can surely divine the truth, right? Like, I can figure out, I can deduce, I can understand, I can conclude, I can, it reminds me of Columbo, who had his little pipe, right? That's when he was dangerous, when he put that little pipe in, right? Because then he was about to figure out the case.
I was just about to say, what is the practical application of what that looks like? How can a cup be used to discern something? That's the cup he goes to sip on when he's
just contemplating. That's why he says, I use this to drink and to divine. Like, this is what I'm thinking, and I'm figuring stuff out. I got my coffee cup. This is mine, right? So that's for some people, those little physical devices help them with certain things.
He probably does it with his pinky up, really fashionable.
Yeah, with his new fancy Egyptian name. So anyway, it's great commentary there, brother. It doesn't mean that he's literally like, pulling out hairs of his servants and chopping up, the nails of chickens and putting them in and stirring them in some sort of little mixture. And, it's not like he's doing witchcraft. It's literally just a word that means to deduce or conclude or understand. So guys, for everyone following along at home, here in this chapter in 44, is Joseph instructed his servants to pack food into the brothers' satchels for their return home. But he also had his personal silver cup planted in Benjamin's satchel. After the brothers left the city, Joseph had his men pursue them and search for the silver cup. Joseph's men searched his brother's possessions and find the silver cup with Benjamin. This prompted their return to Joseph. Joseph took Benjamin as his slave, and Judah pleaded with Joseph on behalf of Jacob to release Benjamin. How interesting this conversation, that they continue to bring up this father who's not there, that these sons keep saying, we care about our father. We care about our father. Don't do this to us. We care about our father. Even to the point where now Judah is saying, look, take my life instead of Benjamin's for the sake of my father. Like, he will die if you take Benjamin and not me. So what an interesting, and they said he loves the boy. His whole life is wrapped up in the boy, right? So this definitely reminds me of, when you see that love child that happens. You guys know what it means when you have a love child. So like it means like later in your life, you've had all your kids, but then like 15 years later, you have another kid. They call it a love child because usually the wife gets pregnant on an anniversary, right? Like that 20-year anniversary, that 15-year anniversary. You've already had your kids several years earlier, but then later you have this romantic moment and you have a love child. It wasn't a planned child. It was a love child, right? So it just reminds me of like Benjamin's the last kid after 12 kids, and it's with his Rachel died giving birth to Benjamin. So like, and this is at the later point of his life. He's really he has a lot of emotions wrapped up in Benjamin for whatever reason.
Yeah, he's the baby.
Yeah. So all the other brothers noticed this to the point where they're like, look, for the sake of our father, just don't do this. Like they really care about Jacob. So it's kind of sweet.
So one thing that I've wondered, do you think that Joseph was doing this as a way to kind of torment his brothers a little bit and get back at them? Or do you think he was doing it to try to see their heart as like, all right, do they really have compassion now? Or, I mean, maybe a combination of both, but.
Well, yeah, it says he did this to test them, and we're going to read about that later next week in chapter 45. But it also says that in Jubilees, after he realizes that they had solidarity with each other and that they did love Benjamin, then he decides to reveal himself. So it was both, actually, what you're saying, to both kind of play with him a little bit in his position of power, and then also to truly see where their hearts were. And then we're about to read here in the Testament of Simeon how Simeon viewed his imprisonment for that year and what was going through in his mind.